Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. This is my first video I'm doing with a little bit of a new setup here. Got the camera rolling, I'm going to get my lighting a little bit better, I'm going to get a new microphone for the camera, but for now this is what we got, so bear with me. What we're going to be talking today about is motivation for young men, but this is also going to apply to young women, to old men, to older women, to middle-aged. I mean, the concepts that I'm going to be putting forward here, I say they're about young men because I am a young man and this is just what I have experience with. But I really believe that everything I'm going to put out here today is going to be able to, be applied to different phases of life, different sexes, different whatever. So I hope that doesn't push you away, that I'm mostly speaking to young men. So let's just keep moving on from there. So, where is the loss of motivation really stemming from for young men today? Because when I look out into the world today, I've been that unmotivated young man, and I see a lot of young men out there, particularly those that are a couple years younger than me. Now I see in those that are older than me as well, but I really think the wave of overstimulation, which is going to be the focal point of this video, it hit those people or those young men or even boys much harder. Things like vapes, things like marijuana and drugs being available at a younger age, and just the overall progress in technology with the introduction of social media and more advanced forms of stimulation that weren't quite the same when I was younger. I mean, yeah, I played Call of Duty, I got addicted to League of Legends. That's almost like a piece of cake compared to getting addicted to something like nicotine, a vaporizer, or marijuana. I mean, I'm going to talk more about marijuana and my whole experience with it, how it has negatively impacted me. I'm not going to say it's a totally bad thing, especially in moderation. You got to consider what your personality is like and how it works. So don't just say, oh, well, it's fine for these people with PTSD or something. Don't rationalize these things. Be honest with yourself. But anyways, I think the root cause of the overstimulation for young men is drugs and technology, like I just outlined. So I guess let's just move over. And then we have the toxins that are messing with our bodies, another form of negative stimulation that is going to be impacting our hormones, our health, and all the other factors that go into creating a positive direction. And so we have air, food, water, and there's a lot of other ones that I could talk about that I don't feel like getting into today, but there are so many different sources of toxins and negative stimulations in our environment. So the drugs, technology, air, food, water, these are going to be the things that we're analyzing when we go into our kind of session or our practice later in this video. I'm going to explain how I do that so that you can do it yourself. I'm not going to tell you, everything. I'm going to explain how I do it, and hopefully you gain something from that. So I also see with young men and young people in general, is that there's this time element to everything where because we leave school, because we're older, because XYZ, we have it in our mind that we're no longer able to make certain changes. We're no longer able to motivate ourselves in these ways. And we could just kind of get depressed because we're like, well, I wish I had done it back then. We'll do it now. There's no reason that you can't do it now, almost always. Usually what's happening is your mind is telling yourself that because you missed that opportunity, that you can't take advantage of another opportunity or even create an opportunity for yourself in whatever domain you're trying to get involved with. So it'd be that sports. That's the most common one where I say, oh, I was so good in high school, or I wish I focused more on sports in high school. I wish I focused more in high school. I was staying up till 1 a.m. playing League of Legends every day, taking caffeine pills in my chemistry class, falling asleep in Latin. I mean, what was I doing? But I didn't quit. I mean, I never did bodybuilding. I got into bodybuilding 5 months ago. I placed 3rd at the Open in a big competition recently, and I just posted that video. I mean, this is one example of how you can optimize your life very quickly when you feed yourself the right things, mind, spirit, body, etc. So the time element is how we perceive ourselves based on our age and our past. So our age is a predominant paradigm when it comes to the opportunities that we think we have. We often think that because a certain amount of time has passed, or that the situation is different, i.e. being not in school, I have so many responsibilities now, etc., that we're no longer capable of doing X, Y, or Z. But we also take the time element in that our paradigm says that certain things are no longer possible because we are older due to changes in hormones, due to physical, whatever. Like, you have to succeed. Everybody else succeeds when they're 19, or they started snowboarding when they were 12, so I can't try to snowboard right now. Again, a lot in sports, but even when it comes to like whatever we want to be excellent at, we start to judge ourselves because we didn't start being excellent at that, start working towards that goal when we were really young. We said, oh, if I started working on coding when I was 12 years old, I would be making so much money right now, I'd be doing all this stuff, but now I can't. No. The simple fact is, you can start putting the time in right now, and yeah, you're going to be a little older when you really see the fruits of that labor, but you can start being rewarded and you can start building that positive picture of what is possible in your mind rather than letting those negative thoughts about what you think is possible, what your paradigm is telling you, rather than letting those control you. So the time element I want to speak to today is sort of like the lag effect of not taking an opportunity, then wanting to take that opportunity later in life. And I'm speaking to young men, and I'm speaking to motivation. And the core of all of this is going to go back to Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, where we're looking at the 10 mind stimulants, 8 of them being positive, 2 of them being negative. Okay, and Napoleon Hill says that the most powerful mind stimulant is that of sex, or sex transmutation, or love, a desire to push the human species forward through reproduction, basically. So the inspiring and modifying influence of the right woman, or the right feminine force, you could even say, is going to be the most powerful mind stimulant. I concur with him. I think he's right on that, because it makes intuitive sense to me, and because I have put that into practice in my life in a variety of ways and a variety of goals. So I'm speaking to the core motivational factor that underlines all of human existence and is the most powerful motivator that exists. Sex, women, family. As a man, as a woman, you can be inspired by a man, right, to do great things. But more on that in another video. The drive to survive and reproduce. I believe that all of us have that deep within, because I've met a lot of guys, especially, again, young men, that are so desensitized and so ridden with toxins and negative thoughts that they would consciously tell you that they have no desire for these things. I think that everybody has these desires, and if you don't consciously think that you have those desires, you can start thinking about it logically. You can start not feeling it emotionally, but thinking about it logically and say, would it be an admirable goal to work towards having a girl that inspires me to have a family? Or just say, hey, look, I'm desensitized, I'm addicted to these things, and all of this is causing my mind to be warped so that I can't feel the truth in that statement. All right? So this is what I believe. I'm not saying that I'm right, but I think those are some practical steps you can take to try to feel that energy more. So what are some of the things that society tells us that are causing us to think this way? Well, there's things like humans are bad and we shouldn't be reproducing. We're destroying the earth. It's too much to try to raise a family in today's day and age. I have no money. There aren't any good women or men out there for me that I would want to be committed to. You should focus on your career rather than worry about having a family. The traditional family unit is antiquated and obsolete, or even evil. These are some of the things that, I'm not saying they're super prevalent, but I've heard them, I live in the Northeast, I went to college at pretty liberal college. Nothing even against liberals. I'm not a liberal. I'm not a conservative. I'm not anything, really, when it comes down to it. But I definitely lean more towards this woke shit is kind of crazy, and they're trying to distract us and trying to destroy our sense of masculinity and our sense of femininity to create us all, push us all into one little bubble that can be easily controlled, that they control all the stimuli that's going in. So I think that even for the most down of us, those of us who have really hit low points, and I think all of us have hit certain low points, and we shouldn't be comparing ourselves. I hit the lowest point, he hit the lowest point. Just acknowledge that for those of us, even we can sense the desire to survive. I already kind of spoke about all of that. But let's just restate that you can think about it logically rather than emotionally, because desire is more of an emotional force. It's easier to conceptualize desire as an emotional force rather than a logical force. So you can start thinking about it logically if you are not feeling it emotionally. Think about it logically in the sense of, I'm a human, I am here, I have a body, what am I supposed to do with it, And so I think that not having that why of why we're doing something is really what's destroying men and young men, because our why is something like, I want to go smoke marijuana, I want to go drink alcohol, I want to have the vape, I want to have money, not that money's a bad modifying influence, it can be a very positive force, but there's a lot of us that our motivations are these very short-sighted things, and they're not very powerful. So it's like trying to run a car that's 5,000 pounds with a 4-cylinder engine, You need a bigger engine. You need something that can handle more power, and that's the motivational force that can drive your very powerful, very luxurious car, which is this body, spirit, and soul that we find ourselves in. All right? So how can we change our motivational factors from the negative ones to the positive ones? All right? I've created a protocol that has worked well for me. It's increased my motivation, happiness, satisfaction. I'm not saying that any of these things are happiness or satisfaction is necessarily a good thing, but certainly motivation. It gives me a better reason to wake up in the morning, The protocol starts with an analysis of our desensitization levels. We ask ourselves, first, am I overstimulated? And if the answer is no, then you need to call me, because I want to know how that happened. Because I'm still desensitized, and I do a million things to try to make my life less desensitized. So you will quickly find some simple answers. You need to just sit with yourself. Sit with yourself for 5 minutes a day. Say, how am I desensitized? What things are desensitizing me? And then what are my motivations in relation to those things that are desensitized? And then we can move on to reduce the desensitization so that you're able to feel those natural forces motivating you in your life. So, for example, my situation was that I was smoking too much weed, I was playing too many video games, and I was eating way too much. I stopped smoking as much, still do it on occasion. Then I stopped eating so much. Then I stopped playing video games as much. So it was sort of a level where one step gave me the power to go to the next level. And that's really the way it is. I don't think there's any shortcuts in life. Trust me, I've tried to take a lot of them. Just a nice little slow incline. And before you know it, you're going parabolic. Your one step is somebody else's 50 steps. All right? So the next step is to start building the motivational image. So where the motivational image previously may have been to get home and roll a fat joint, it's going to be replaced with a vision of what you want in relation to those natural forces. So a vision of the family you want to build, a vision of the woman you want to attract into your life, a vision of what your house is going to be like, a vision of all these positive things that I think unconsciously are really what we should be reaching for, but we rationalize into thinking that certain things are okay because we still keep moving along. But I think you want to go higher. I think all of us want to go higher. I want to go higher, and that's why I'm making these videos, partially just to motivate myself to build that vision, and to share what I think is really powerful information that isn't really out there as much as it should be. So when the negative thoughts start to come in, you must slowly train yourself to focus on that positive image. That thing's going to come in, I want this, I want that. These negative motivational factors that are slowly eating away at you rather than slowly building you up. you've got to train your mind to focus on that positive. I know it sounds kind of like a cliche. It may feel impossible at first. Remember that when it feels extremely hard, chances are that there's an overstimulation blocking you from receiving that positive image. It's not saying that you couldn't receive it in any situation, but it's going to be easier to receive it if you've already removed those overstimulated elements. So, your subconscious mind cannot reject. It must accept whatever thoughts and images you feed it. You do have the ability to choose, but choosing will be a lot easier if the forces that want to block you from choosing and keep you in that negativity are weakened by rejecting the habits and tendencies that cause the overstimulation in the first place. So I think that along the same path, we are dealing with restoring our hormones to natural levels. We're dealing again with the physical body and the spiritual body, the soul, the mental images. And so while this is kind of like going back to what I started out talking about with drugs and the air, food, and water. The drugs and technology are more of those mind stimulants. The air, food, water are more of these physical stimulations, but it's all holistic. It's all impacting you on every level. So we're talking here about restoring our natural functions. It's a mind, but it's also you're physically changing the hormonal profiles. You're physically changing the way that your body is interacting with its environment, the way it's perceiving everything, and this is going to empower you to keep making those changes, okay? Where was I? So testosterone levels have fallen for many decades now, and I don't think that's just diet. I think it has something to do with the thoughts we are feeding ourselves and the culture we have built around masculinity, which has come to be regarded as a more negative force in recent years. I want to help myself and others embrace masculinity in its purest form, not saying that I know the pure form, but I am aware of how it can be toxic, but also how it is being unhealthily suppressed. All right. So this is off script, but I just want to speak to all the young men out there that stop listening to the culture, stop listening to the society, start listening to yourself, all right? And even yourself, you've got to question all the time. You got to reconnect with your body, man. You got to reconnect with these natural forces if you want to start discovering what true progress, true mental freedom can feel like. If you feel trapped by these drugs, if you feel trapped by your situation, you got to remove all of those things. It doesn't mean that you need to change your physical environment. You can remove in the snap of a click of a button all of that stuff. I have a million people that contact me asking for this, asking for that. Nothing. This isn't like business. This is like random shit that I'm just sick of thinking about. And I have the freedom to not think about it. I have the freedom to detach myself, all right? It's not my responsibility what other people think of me, all right? So just keep that in mind. If you want to be a real man in today's world, you're going to have to butt heads with some people. And it's not even about butting heads. You're going to have to detach yourself from whatever the status quo is. Sometimes I watch videos of myself and I actually think I'm retarded. I look and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? And I've just been living in my own world for so long that when I go out, it's like completely weird. It's not that I can't interact. I interact quite well with people, but it's weird how you start feeling like an alien a little bit, you know? You start feeling like, what are all these other people doing? What am I doing too? But I'm not perfect, but I definitely think that if you follow the normal status quo, I mean, you're just gonna be screwed. So try some shit out. Fuck it. Try a keto diet. Try a vegan diet. Try a carnivore diet. Try meditating. Try buying some crystals. Try sipping on some tea. Try eating organic. I don't know. Try researching things yourself and finding out what you think. Research glycogen metabolism. That's how I did so well in my competition recently. Nobody's really understanding. Everybody's eating rice cakes. I'm over here with honey and bamboo salt. What am I talking about? During this whole process, Remember to be easy on yourself. Beating yourself up for a small slip up on your goals will only have the tendency to throw you back to the start. Acknowledge your transgression and move forward. In my case, I would make great diet progress, for example, then smoke a little bit and binge eat, Don't do that. But hey, if you do move forward, do the next right thing. That's what my dad always told me. Do the next right thing. So when we overcome this overstimulation and implant the natural desire, we will start to build up our spirit, body, and mind from the ground level. A fresh start. No matter what age you're at, this can be very useful. But I'm especially targeting young men because this is something that I've gone through in my head many times. And I think that based on the results I have gotten, I have done some good things to counteract these negative forces. This is the process that I've taken, I optimize my diet. I cut down the drugs. Just weed. I never had a problem with alcohol. Optimizing my sleep, air, water, just considering all these things. And without question, though, the greatest modifying influence in my life was being inspired by the feminine, inspired by the idea of building a family, a relationship. And so I think that's what I want to end this video with, speaking to all the young men out there. Look into your imagination, lay down in bed at night and just think about how beautiful of a life you could build. Think about, not even that you could build, because then that starts to get into the, oh, can I do it? Just start letting your imagination drift to that beautiful life that you want, that beautiful life that would be fun and exciting and progressing your soul. Just consider that at night. And I think if you think back to when you were really young, at least this is how I was, my imagination was amazing. I could imagine anything, really, any situation. And I'm starting to regain that, and I know that all of us have that ability. And when you start to regain that, you start to really give yourself more power to actually impact your physical environment around, because what's put into the mind, expressed within, must seek expression without. God bless. I'll see you all in the next video. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe. I'll be coming at you with more content in the future. God bless.